Horace Chang, Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of National Security of Jamaica. Even though he is not here, he is a very important part of this meeting, so I should mention him. Other members of the government, members of the opposition, Major General Anthony Anderson, Commissioner of Police and Co-Chair of the Oversight Board of Project STAR, Mr. Keith Duncan, sponsor and co-chair of the Oversight Board of Project STAR, His Excellency Edward Perez Reyes, Ambassador of the Dominican Republic to the International Civil Authority, my fellow colleagues, ambassadors, and high commissioners from the United States, India, Trinidad and Tobago, Mexico, and members of the Diplomatic Corps and Consular Corps, Ms. Safri Brown, Project Director of Project STAR, Mrs. Aimiga Brice McNabb, Executive Director of the Private Sector Organization of Jamaica, Mr. Julian Mer, Chairman of the Jamaica Stock Exchange and co-sponsor of Public Funding Lead Advisor of Project STAR, Mr. Juan Jose Melo. It's an honor to have you today at your residence, the residence of the Dominican Republic. Melo is the president of the Jamaica Chamber of Commerce in the Dominican Republic and the chief country officer of JMNB in the art. Other members of the private sector organization, all heads and representatives of companies, friends from the media, friends all, good evening. On behalf of the Embassy of the Dominican Republic in Jamaica, I am honored to welcome you all here tonight to this conversation in support of Project STAR's initiative. As Ambassador of the Dominican Republic, it is my honor to express my utmost support for this transformative endeavor. It will help if we can turn out the water, but if not, I will continue. Ever since I heard about Project STAR, I fell in love. I fell in love with its potential to positively impact underprivileged communities in Jamaica and create a brighter future. Project STAR for me is one of the most incredible, brilliant, and revolutionary initiatives. And I have my goosebumps in this moment. So I believe that all who love Jamaica, all who care for Jamaica, should be part of this project. Thank you. So that's why I say to Kid, we were WhatsApping us each other, right? And I say, I love this project, and I would love to partner with you, with the PSOJ and the Jamaica Constabulary Force, by connecting persons from and entities from DR and Dominican individuals and companies here in Jamaica to explore the possibility of cooperating in the strengthening of the execution of this project. When I welcomed Keith, Safri, and other members of the Project STAR at the embassy around a month or more ago to discuss how the embassy could be involved, I was truly inspired by their passion and the immense potential for positive change of this beautiful project. That day, the idea was born to gather a few friends here, about probably 20, we said, right? Counting us, and at the embassy and counting the Project STAR team to share with some of the Dominican businessmen here in Jamaica about the Project STAR. However, as with everything at the Embassy of the Dominican Republic, this idea grew to what you are seeing now. So this initiative is not only a social transformation effort, but also a powerful crime fighting tool. The partnership with the Jamaica Constabulary Force and the Commission of Police serves to address the root cause of social challenges to build safer communities. To my esteemed friends in the diplomatic corps, this event serves as a platform for you to be introduced to the Project STAR and to seek ways of partnership, of collaboration through your embassies. One that could visualize the project from the embassy or by reaching out to your commercial partners here in Jamaica. Also, I would like to refer that recently, Project STAR launched its social initial public offering. My son, he knows a lot about this, apparently, because he told me when I was reading this speech, so he can correct me, my pronunciations. He told me, IPO, Mom. I said, okay, IPO. Of the Jamaica Social Stock Exchange. The aim is to raise 100 million to fund this initiative. Individuals and companies present here today, I urge you to do everything within your power to support this social IPO and help Project STAR exceed its intended goals. Investing in Project STAR goes beyond financial returns. The dividends we seek are the transformation of lives. By investing in this initiative, we are investing in the future of Jamaica. We have the power to make a difference in the lives of people and reduce level of violence and create safer and more resilient communities. Your donation, no matter the amount, has the power to improve lives and transform communities. Let us be united in our determination to make this social change a reality. Together, I know that we can create a brighter, more prosperous Jamaica for all, a place where people can work, do business, and raise their families. I express my deepest gratitude to each and every one of you for joining us today. Your presence here demonstrates your commitment to the well-being and future of Jamaica, the land we love. Thank you. So now I would like to invite to the podium Mr. Keith Duncan, who is the truly visionary who creates this wonderful project STAR, and he is the sponsor and co-chair of the oversight board of Project STAR. Please, Keith, come here.
Thank you very much, Ambassador. Thank you very much, and thank you again for all your hospitality. Thank you for making this possible. Thank you for friends, colleagues, thank you very much for coming out today. I know when Angie invites, we get a full turnout like this. Right? When I make invites, we get a full turnout like this, and that's true about me, right? But so thank you very much, Angie, and thanks again. So I'm going to give a little overview of Project STAR and how we got to where we are today. During COVID, the PSOJ launched the PSOJ COVID-19 response fund, and we got a lot of support from private sector companies. I don't know how come the commission and I got together around this, right? But we got together and we said, let's do this in partnership, because what we want is to be able to. So in my mind, what we're doing is securing the packages going into vulnerable communities in Jamaica. So therefore, we chose 20 communities because we have one of the brightest minds in Jamaica, Dr. Horace, i.e., doing all the targeting, data-driven around how we chose our communities that we did for the PSOJ COVID-19 response fund when Jamaica was in lockdown and we needed to get to the vulnerable population in Jamaica. And Paris ran data and determined with all about 20 different criteria, along with Safra Brown, where we target. Now we had to then, how are we going to get the packages in? And then we said, okay, well, let's talk to Commissioner Anderson. And we said, Commissioner, can you just help secure the packages in? Right? Commissioner Anderson said, absolutely no way. What we're going to do is the policemen are going to deliver the packages to the police are going to deliver the packages to the beneficiaries. This was part of the vision of this commissioner, as far as I can see, is building trust with the community. Combining crime reduction measures with crime prevention measures, building trust with the new JCF, a force for good. Right? That we have seen transformation over the past 4, 5, 6 years of the Jamaica Constabulary Force, and I would like to acknowledge Commissioner Anderson, Major General Tony Anderson, for the work that he has done. And he has always stressed that we need the crime prevention side, the social transformation element, to combine with crime reduction efforts. So while building out technology, mobility, forensic labs, this and that and the other, we need to focus on crime prevention. While I was president of the PSOJ, so we worked on that, we worked together, the police delivered for 4 to 6 months straight, every 2 weeks, and the police all with the you know the policemen with it? Everyone was out delivering packages, but we don't have a commissioner. The commissioner is, is fit, right? But they were out there delivering packages every 2 weeks? Every 2 weeks into the community. SAFRI organized, we had the NGOs, Red Cross, Police Youth Club, everybody working with the police, getting into the communities. Places that the police had never been before. And there was a trust that built. And it also kind of led into, because we're in COVID, the police were delivering homework. And picking up homework for teachers. This was what was occurring in these marginalized, depressed communities. And who organized the logistics for this? Was the JDF. So we worked with the JDF. They organized the entire logistics program for delivery during COVID, over 6 months, every 2 weeks of care packages into the communities. So this was, for me, a sign of public-private partnership that can work. We also worked with the Ministry of Labor and Social Security on that project. So we were a genuine public-private partnership. And I said, this can work. And then there was a community called Salt Spring in Montego Bay, where the business community, along with the PSOJ, got together with the senior superintendent in Montego Bay, Vernon Ellis, and they adopted a school. They built out a football program. They built out green spaces. They did some sanitation efforts. They didn't document it though, because Vernon is just working, SSP Vernon Ellis. They didn't work with John Biles. They just worked and they got it done. And they were able to bring down major crimes significantly. I don't like to quote numbers because I didn't validate them with Paris, but it's like high 90s down to in the teens, that's what I would say, right? Within like 18 months, right? But that was a combination of the JCF working with the private sector and other social agencies, Jamaica Social Investment Fund, to get this done. So we know that there is a model that works. And we know that the government of Jamaica has ministries, departments, and agencies that have budgets that are allocated to social investments. And we know that we in the private sector, we need people. We need skilled people. We need labor at all different levels in Jamaica. And we know that within communities right across the length and breadth of Jamaica, we have over, and I will just quote, Stafford, don't get into too much detail, right? And don't ramble on too much, right? Don't think. But we know we have over 700,000 people in Jamaica between the age of 14 and 65, according to Statin, that are not counted in the labor force. So when we say we have 6.6% unemployment, this does not count 700,000 people who are outside the labor force. 215,500 are in school full-time or part-time. That is about 500,000. When we break out how much is left between the ages of 14 and 44, there's 275,900 that are out there not making themselves eligible for a job. Don't know how to access a job. Maybe they just have given up. Maybe they just don't know. So this is what, there are elements of this is what we call the unattached, right? So therefore, we have been advocating on the when I became president of the PSOJ, we know that we had achieved a level of macroeconomic stability in this country, taking our debt level significantly, interest rates down. We have, an independent central bank, independent fiscal commission to come. We have a macroeconomic stability. We have achieved macroeconomic stability, and we're putting the institutional framework. We need to focus on our people now, because 62% of our workforce have zero training or certification. How are we going to become a value-added economy if 62% of our workforce, those who are working, have no certification or training? So what is the strategy? Right? And therefore, how are we going to move from being the lowest per capita income in front of Haiti? We're only about Haiti. How are we going to move if we don't focus on human capital development, education, social transformation, and economic transformation of communities in Jamaica? The Planning Institute of Jamaica has identified over 100 communities and defined them as vulnerable and volatile. When I quote this data, what you are hearing is that the data is much worse, the outcomes are much worse in many of the variables in these communities. These communities have been under-invested, under-resourced, and they are 5 minutes away from New Kingston, from many of our offices, right? 5 minutes away, right? And people don't see that, don't have hope. The senior citizens are challenged because they don't even know how to access the benefits of the state. There are children in school that are not showing up to school because their parents don't have the food to send them to school or the money to send them to school. So Jamaica is truly challenged when it comes to human capital. 33% of our children graduate from primary school unable to read. That's where we are as a country. And we wonder, why is it that we have the outcomes that we have? We have achieved macroeconomic stability. We have created the fiscal space. Now we need to invest in our people, in our communities. That's what we need to do as a country. If we're going to get that growth that we all want, if we're going to get to that Vision 2030, if we're going to be a prosperous and safe country, the police force can't hold it on their own. They can't do it on their own. They need to ensure that we're investing in our people. Our people, they deserve a chance. And this is what Project STAR is about, social transformation and renewal. And this project was named by Mega Breeze McNabb, who branded this project. Okay? And we kicked off last year. Well, first of all, it's actually started now because at PSOJ we're advocating for this, and I say, Mega, we need to really get education. Crime is an issue. We're always commenting on crime. We need to get to the bottom. We need to get to the root issues of crime. And we decided, upon being invited to a meeting at the Commissioner's office by Dr. Horace Chang, and that's why I wanted him here today, and I was invited along with a couple other businessmen, Howard Mitchell, Robert Dabdoob, Mark Myers, and a few others, to discuss, because we were advocates for social transformation. And out of that, because of my passion, I decided that I would take it on. I would take the leadership of Project STAR. And of course, Commissioner was right there, so I know I had good partnership here going. And then I know I had Safri, because Safri and I had discussed how we're going to build on the PSOJ COVID effort. So I said, Safri, you need to write this project document. So this was December 2021. Safri, you need to get this out by the end of Christmas, right? Anyway, I'm getting into a lot of trouble now because I'm pushing too hard. But so Safri wrote, because Safri is a community development specialist and a passion for community development in Jamaica. And she approaches it in a methodical way so that to ensure that it's sustainable. Because we don't want to be in here, it's a 5-year project. We don't want to be in here for 5 years And at the end of the day, the community returns to where it was before. So we are building out a sustainable community development model owned by the community, executed by community-based organizations, building the capacity of community-based organizations so that they can own their own solutions, and we establish the corporate governance, we can call it corporate governance, the governance around it by establishing community transformation boards made up of community-based organizations, community youth clubs, community leaders, the SDC, the Social Development Commission, and all of these government of Jamaica agencies who all mean well, but they just need us to all work together in what we call a whole-of-we approach, all-of-society approach. So we have MOUs with HEART, we have MOUs with the Jamaica Social Investment Fund, which is the government vehicle for social investments. We have MOUs with the Social Development Commission, which is supposed to be rolling out the development of communities, but they just need a little helping hand sometimes. And for us all to come together as a country, as we did with PSOJ COVID-19 Response Fund, come together and get this done. Now, when we started off, so therefore we're working with the ministry departments and agencies, the private sector, we're building out our job bank, we're going into the communities, we're identifying people who are looking for jobs, and they are there looking for jobs. People say they can't find people to get jobs. There are people there looking for jobs. I just tell you, today I'm coming from a signing with the Red Stripe, an MOU. We don't just sign the MOU. We had 20-something young men and one woman, one lady, to be trained as forklift operators. Red Stripe is taking all of them. And there's a company named Dex that is doing the training, and it's a 5-day training program, 1 month internship, and they go and they work with the Red Stripe. Right? We have relationships with Separate, Grace Kennedy, the BPO sector, Transparency, what's the Transparency, and Sagility, we have Sandals. Sandals is one of the biggest donors, our legacy donor, $50 million that Sandals has committed for 5 years for this project. Sandals Foundation, Adam Stewart, one called Adam Stewart, because we worked with Adam also during PSOJ COVID. We worked together on the Economic Recovery Task Force, and we know what we are capable of. And Adam said, I'm ready, Keith, right? And we went to work. And the Sanders team has been tremendous. We met with their whole entire, the team that is Human Development. What's that name of the team again? Training and Development with the head of the university. And they want to incorporate Sanders University into our SOAR program, our employment program, STAR, where we build out the job bank, because the private sector need people, right, Kamisha? And we also build out the skills bank, because HEART has a skills bank, but we are building the skills, the supply of labor from within the communities, right? So we do the social work also, but if you do the social work without the economic opportunities, this is not going anywhere too fast. So we do financial inclusion, because when we work in these communities, right, many people don't even leave these communities. They spend all their money in these communities. So when you're creating jobs in these communities and they're earning, they're spending that money in that community. They're going to their hairdresser, they're going to their barber, they're going to the corner shop, they're going to the bar, they're going down to, they're spending that money. It's a multiplier effect within that community. You're creating economic activity. So therefore we're going to formalize, right, Roxanne Linton, who is a big partner up here from First Heritage Credit Union, into these communities to formalize them. Get them into the formal banking sector. They have their earning in their businesses, they can run their cash flow, and they can go to the bank and borrow money, or the credit union and borrow money and expand their businesses. This is a serious program, right? This is not a joke, and we're in here to win it. Right? So, and we're going to make that powerful impact change that we want to see as a country. So social programs, there are two kinds, social cohesion and social protection. Right? So Social cohesion is the sporting activities. There were communities where there was no football being played for years and years and years. Now, on a weekly basis, the communities are playing football on the street, what they call street side football, organically developed. They're just playing every week, every Sunday, and they make up their own goalposts. I think we give them football and water. That's it. We have a school feeding program. I track we'll go into the details. What I'm saying, there are social programs that you have to do. Social inclusion, social program, social protection, giving access to the elderly in our communities who don't know how to access the benefits of the state. And we have to celebrate the elderly in the communities. So I know I've gone on too long because I was supposed to introduce him. So then it's looking at me like, what is wrong with Keith? Right? So, but I gave you an overview of the program. But I wanted to hear, because Mr. Mayor said, Julian Mayer, who came on board with me on this thing, he said to the Keith that they need to hear your heart because it's my passion. And I know, in the same way where in 10 years we turn around this country and the economy through macroeconomic stability, that we can do this in 5 years in Jamaica and build out a sustainable community development model that will work for Jamaica and for communities, that is replicable across communities across Jamaica. We are targeting 10. We're building out this model, but we want to ensure that we can replicate it across communities, across Jamaica. And we're dead serious. So on that note, maybe after I chat too much, we're going to hand back to Andre and she will do the introduction.
Thank you so much, Keith Duncan. Before we continue with the program, I would like to take the opportunity that we have a very nice business community here, representative from the private sector organization, members of the Project STAR, members of the Diplomatic Corps, to formally express the recognition of the Dominican Republic Embassy in Jamaica to one person that have done an incredible job to fostering the commercial relation between Jamaica and the Dominican Republic, and to have played a wonderful job within the private sector organization. Keith mentioned her, but I think that is probably the last public activity that she will be having in her capacity as the executive director of the private sector organization. Please join me with a round of applause to Aimiga McNabb. Aimiga, please. McNabb, yes, please. A stronger one for her, please. She's very humble, but she's a very hardworking, and she's not only wonderful for the job that she has done for Jamaica, and Keith know her very well because she was working with him while Keith was the president of the private sector organization. But for me, Aimiga is also very special because she is one of my best friends in Jamaica. Probably Roach is my best friend in the male aspect, and Aimiga is my best friend in the female aspect. So for me, it's a very special, opportunity to express my recognition in front of all the people. She has been probably the first person that I met when I arrived in Jamaica. Definitely the first person that I have a working meeting. And the jerk chicken, yes, with Wally. After a very nice and fancy activity at the Prime Minister Right Garden, and we prefer to just go and have jerk chicken in the street with all the bosses and everything. So this is the kind of friendship that I have with Aimiga, the first person, as I said, that I met, like having a working meeting. And after that, she has done a wonderful job. So thank you very much, Aimiga, for all that you have done. And again, a round of applause for Aimiga. And now, I would like to invite to the podium the Mayor General Anthony Anderson, Commissioner of Police and Co-Chair of the Oversight Board of Project STAR.
So, thank you, Ambassador Martinez, and good evening, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. So, if you notice Keith up here and his enthusiasm and passion for what he is talking about and what we are doing with the STAR program, it's no surprise that his enthusiasm is infectious. You know, you can't help but be around him and be infected with the idea of possibilities, and the idea that you can make a difference, and the idea that the things we're talking about are something that we should throw ourselves behind in every way. Not just as advocates for it, but also for, in a material way, getting behind this program to make a difference. It was particularly exciting for me to be associated with it and involved with it, because it has some unique features to it. And some of them are playing out already, and over time we'll see more and more of it. One is that it's very rigorous and data-driven about how we go about things. The second one is that the communities themselves have such a large part to play and in the determination of what happens and that ownership of it. And probably most importantly is that this project actually goes to the end state of actually creating wealth within communities. So jobs matter. Entrepreneurship in communities matter. We have seen on numerous occasions where there has been an investment in training. At the end of that training, if there's nowhere to apply, there's no way of applying it to earn, then over time those skills disappear, and you haven't changed the reality in a community unless you have given the people the ability to fish, to continue to make wealth, to make money, and develop themselves. So that is already, and I mean, Keith could have gone on for another hour or two to tell you exactly all the people who have benefited, but not just of that. You can see the growth over time. You can see the change over time with it. So JCF, isn't that, I mean, traditionally we didn't have many of these kinds of partnerships with JCF, the police force, and PSOJ, and community groups, even though for a long time the JCF has had a department, the Community Safety and Security Branch, that reaches out into communities and does this work, but in a very small way, because it's done within the limits of our budget and our interventions. There's no better way of getting this thing done than through partnerships. And so we recognize that, as a matter of fact, in our strategic planning, partnerships and stakeholder engagement are a fundamental part of it. Because we recognize there's very little that we do alone. Almost everything that we do as the police force is in a continuum of things that need to be done. And the other point I'd like to make is that as the police force, there are a number of communities that when it gets late in the night and when things get difficult, we're the only ones there with the people. Only us and the people. And so that has allowed us to develop relationships over time with people, and even sometimes in communities which say there is low Right. So even in communities where it is said that they may be low trust, it's actually the people who give us most of our information anyway. But you know, they're living in difficult circumstances, so they can't make it look that obvious. But the truth is that we have a relationship with people, and it's on us to continue to strengthen that through the work we do. The Salt Spring model was a curious thing. It came out of deliberate planning to intervene in communities and create trust. And Keith has spoken about it. to some extent, so I won't go into it further. But that was a police initiative that brought on private sector people to change an area that was what will you consider one of the more dangerous places in the country. And some of the more difficult things that happened there that we had to deal with and manage. So we went from a situation in a community where we would go in there, 2 vehicles, police officers with rifles, body armor, and so on to get in there, to 6 to 8 months later, a police officer driving his personal car in there in uniform, and people are waving and smiling. Now that is change, that's real. That is change, that's a change of relationship. Now, this happened just before COVID. Once COVID started, the opportunity came. Because we talk about all opportunities. And as anyone here, certainly this is a group who would believe that there's opportunity in every crisis. And so was the case with COVID. It gave us an opportunity to straddle barriers that were not there, that have been there for years, and create closer relationships. So Keith said that police officers, I had said to him when he said I can secure people going in to give packages. I said, no, we'll do it. But it went further than that. When the superintendent, the senior superintendent, said, okay, we'll have our community safety and security branch come and deliver these packages. I said, no. I want doorkeepers, guys who normally walk around with rifles and body armor to give packages. To start to interface with the community at a different level. So it doesn't mean that these guys still can't do their jobs, which are to deal with the hard side of policing, which is a reality in Jamaica. That is part of what we do. But in an integrated policing model, which is what we do. And it's an interesting thing because, and I'm probably just drifting off a little bit, but bear with me. There is a discussion about, there are as many labels to policing as you could throw a stick at. So you have proximity policing, community policing, hard policing, hotspot policing, and on and on and on it goes. The truth of the matter is, in Jamaica, there's one police force. These cultures all coinciding together within one police force that can deliver a service to Jamaica. That's our reality. So yes, we do hard policing. And yes, we do community policing. And guess what? It is a compendium of cultures to support the various types of policing. And it has to be. Because the culture of my intelligence people is not the culture of my communications people. The culture of my SWAT team is not the culture of my community branch. They have different cultures. However, they all can coincide and exist within a construct of what it is to be a force for good. And that's what that is all about. It has to do with respect. It has to do with focusing your attention on assisting, changing people's circumstances. And it has to do with the rule of law and the rules that apply. So that is the thing. And I guess it is going to, I'd say that what we have here as STAR project is really a story of people and a story of possibilities and potential. But more importantly, it's a story of realized possibility and potential. We're in it for the long haul. We will continue to be supportive of this. We will continue to make interventions where necessary. We'll continue to support this program in our discussions about what we see from our perspective as well within communities. Why it's important that young people were introduced into the committee planning this, because it's no sense there's a bunch of old guys sit around to tell you what's great for young people. We don't know, so we have to ask. And then when you ask and you bring experience, knowledge, youth, and their own view of it, then you get a better program. And so this is, as I say, it is thanks to the team here, Keith and Safri and the rest of the Paris, of course Emilio, and the whole crew, the people who have given their time to do this. This is not a commercial venture. This is a passion to support hope and development for our country. This is Jamaica. And if we don't do it, who else? That's it. Thanks.
Now we are good. Okay, I think that is terrible, crazy hot in Jamaica. And so I understand very well. I would like to say, to ask Ian and the other guys of the team, that probably we can offer something to drink to the audience while we are going to hear and pay attention to the presentation of the Project Star by Safri, but I just don't want you to, desperate or dehydrated. So I think that will be very kind of our collaborators. They can come with a bandeja, with a tray, with water, juices, probably wine, different kind of thing, and the person can just choose. I think that we have to be creative in these situations. So we are good with that? I am? Good. You got it? Perfect. So now we are going to welcome Ms. Safri Brown, Project Director of Project Star, because she's going to do the presentation about what is about really Project Star. So come, Safri. Thank you. Before, Safri, I would like to recognize, of course, the presence of the Honorable Dr. Horace Chang, Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of National Security of Jamaica. Thank you for joining us and to support the Project Star.
Project Star is working with communities
so we can better ourselves and better our community.
All of us are from here, we belong here, this is our place, and if we don't take care of it, no one else will.
Each of us
Can work together to make a real difference.
It's actually a wonderful thing, giving persons chances, opportunities.
This is real. All we have to do is just work together.
Everybody.
All of it, let's build together.
One block at a time.
Helping each other to grow.
Everybody forward.
Forward.
Everybody forward!
To find out more and to join the movement, visit projectstarja.com. Everybody forward!
Good evening, everyone. So I'm going to share a little bit more on what STAR has been doing since we started working in the community. I don't know if you remember the gentleman on the stool, the red stool in that video. That's Mario. He started work, what's today? Tuesday? He started work Monday at Seprod. So we're very, very proud. We're very, very proud of him. And Mario continues to volunteer with the project, and he supports us as a community liaison person on the weekends. So I'm going to share a little bit about the kind of work that we're doing, but I want you to understand certain things about Project STAR. Project STAR is a developmental initiative. It's not a charitable project. It is looking to change the outcomes at the community level in a way that improves people's lives, impacts the community in a positive way, and can create sustained change. And so all the work that we do is towards this end. And nothing that we do can be done by itself and address the issues we're trying to address. It must be a multifaceted approach that we come at in a major way throughout the next 4 to 5 years. It requires Project STAR. It requires the JCF. It requires the private sector. It requires the government. It requires communities. It requires citizenry. It requires everybody to make this change. We have to make the change for communities at the community level. We have to make change for communities at the national level. It isn't anybody else's job. It is everybody's job to create the change that we need to see. So I want to talk a little bit about some of the work that we do. So I'm just pulling a few of the key areas, but understand we work in economic development. We look at individual economic change, so we look at employment, and we look at entrepreneurship, financial inclusion, and we look at strategic investments. What we don't want to do is improve the economic of the community because the overall community hasn't been improved for them, because then you haven't actually addressed the issue of that. So too do you have to do with the wider community. And so STAR is looking at the individuals, but we're also looking at the community. And in everything we do, that is our approach. So with regards to East Downtown Kingston, we have a job readiness program that we do in partnership with Heart Trust NSTA. And Heart Trust is a really important partner. We work through our partners. We're not here to do everything ourselves. We're here to collaborate and consult and work with others. So we work with Heart to deliver a job placement program. In East Downtown Kingston, we've done 2 cohorts, and in Savannah Lamara's second community, we've done 1. We've trained about 80 people thus far. In East Downtown Kingston, where we trained 49 individuals, we've gotten 35 of them placed into jobs, one of whom was Mario, who just started on Monday. And the others we work with to make sure that we're getting them the right kind of jobs. We do a lot of work in terms of psychometric testing, in terms of job readiness, resume writing. But we also look at what are the barriers to employment, because you're dealing with people with lots of historical issues in a community that is still being traumatized on a daily basis. High levels of crime, high levels of violence, poor social outcomes, poor educational outcomes. And so just getting them a job isn't enough in and of itself. And so we work with partners such as Dress for Success, because one of the barriers to employment for people in communities that we're working in is a simple thing like just getting dressed to go to a job interview and putting on your shoes and putting on your trousers and your belt and your shirt and your tie, or getting the right handbag and the right necklace to go around your neck to go to your job interview. So we work with Dress for Success to make sure that we get our people attired. We recently launched a program with Dragon of Red Stripe called Suited for Success, was to make sure we could start getting clothing for men to make sure they could be properly attired. So I know everybody's here very well dressed. Anybody has some great lightly worn? Maybe you lost weight and it's too big. Maybe you've become a little bit too small. We're ready to take those items. But we really look at what are the barriers. And if you look at development as something that is looking to remove barriers, to improve access, then you should do this. So in East Downtown, as I said, we did a lot of work with really trying to work to get our people into jobs. We're in SAV. We're doing really well in SAV. We've just placed last week alone, 10 of our candidates were placed in jobs. We're also in Maypen now, and Maypen has a different issue, right? Because Maypen has low value jobs, and you don't want to send a whole community of low income people to low value jobs. And so what do you do in Maypen? The conundrum in Maypen is different. And STAR addresses the issues in each community. It's not a blanket approach. Each community is different. Working with Dr. Luai and our others, we look at really what the data is saying about that community. We work with the community to understand what the historical and cultural contexts are that they're dealing with. We work with the JCF in that community so they can give us a lot of the context of what's happening. And with the community, we identify the strategies and work to deliver the strategies. So STAR in East Downtown Kingston looks different to STAR in South, looks different to STAR in Maypen. Every STAR community is based on what that community needs. And I just want to play a little audio clip of one of our participants who got a job.
Thank you. Great appreciation. I am now a waitress at the Rock Hotel, Kingston. Big up Project Star. I'm never have no faith. I'm never believe it work out.
We never have faith. We never believe. And that's a big part of what our communities are faced with. They don't have faith. They don't believe because we haven't given them any reason to. And with STAR, what we try to do is make sure that we deliver on what we say. So if we look at community-wide financial inclusion, we work with Roxanne Linton, who's over there, who's really helping us work through a strategy for financial inclusion. And financial inclusion we look at from many different layers. We're going to be looking at it from the context of small, micro and small business. You're going to look at it from the context of youth based financial inclusion and literacy. One of the big barriers, and this it always blows your mind, one of the biggest barriers to people being able to get formalized is they don't have documentation. They do not have their birth certificate. They do not have their TRN. They cannot get a job. They cannot get on a training program. They cannot get in the system. It's one of the most basic things. And so working with our partners through JSIP and others, we've been able to really focus on getting them their documentation and really regularizing this so that you're opening up access to pathways for economic development. Remember, it's about removing the barriers, opening up the access. So all of these are steps towards that. When we look at sports, so sports is an important tool for development. Sports is a tool that you use to engage young people, really in just kind of social activities, psychosocial work. But it's also a segue into other opportunities for youth. You cannot engage a lot of our at-risk youth by going straight to them and saying, do you want to come on this employment program? Do you want to go on a training program? They're going to tell you absolutely not. They don't know who you are, and so on. You've got to build trust and relationships, and you do that through sports. So we're working with Chris Stokes, who's really helping us build out a sporting strategy. We took some of our youth to Football Factory last week, and Walter Boyd came down to really talk to them, one of our national footballers, about sports. People are engaged, people are interested, people want to be part of that. When we did the time before last, when we took our youth out to the Football Factory, Keith gave a talk to them on the employment program and the opportunities there. And at the end of that, 3 of them came up to us and said, we're interested in jobs. And the next day they started the training, and they're all in jobs now, all 3 of them. But they wouldn't have come through if we didn't actually go with sports. And so this opens up opportunities. In Savannah, Lamar, now we have about 90 young people involved in sports, and we're really looking at how we support that from 2 perspectives. One, in terms of really supporting their work in schools. A lot of them are still school age. And the other one is for those who are out of school age, how we support them to get back into the idea of employment and or entrepreneurship. But again, it's a journey, and it's not everything on day one. When we look at children and family-based support, this is a key area. We do a lot of work to try and strengthen families. A lot of people talk about things like poor parenting. We don't believe in poor parenting. We believe in unsupported parents. Parents are not given the kind of opportunities to get the kinds of services and support and information that they need. What we have identified in our communities is parents want to support and help their children. They don't know how. And if all of us in this room think about times where we've been perplexed about our children and what to do, and where do we go for support? Where's that community we call on? What happens in these communities? And so this is an important part. So working, for example, we've done a lot of work with creating parenting workshops. Out of that, parents have come forward and say they want to develop a parent support group, not just to talk to each other, but to access services and access resources and get information on how they can really support their children. With our partnerships with Mussons and Rainforest, we were able to really implement a school feeding program in early childhood institutions in East Downtown Kingston. Because they still hadn't recovered since COVID, you still had a lot of children that had not returned to school. They were citing economic issues as not being able to go back to school. They couldn't afford breakfast and lunch. So we developed a breakfast and lunch program with our partners, and that increased attendance in these 4 early childhood institutions by 20% in the first term alone. And so what you're doing again is you're building on that. You're removing the barriers, right? Barrier to education is the cost of being able to access a meal. You remove the barriers and open up access. Okay, it's cause and effect. We also do work with elders. In East Downtown, for example, there was a huge issue with the isolation of elders just being completely locked in. We did work to make sure we brought them out, that they could access government services, PATH services, that they could become part of a kind of social ecosystem. And so they start to come back to life. They start to become part of the ecosystem again and feel like they can provide support to the wider community. I know we have a little video to show you in terms of the results of the school feeding.
Most of them, when they come in the morning, they are really lethargic and not ready for school. But after the breakfast, they're perky and ready, especially on porridge mornings. With Project Star catering to the breakfast program, there's over 100 children being fed. I see where it has improved in our attendance. Our children we have some that come like 2 times for the week or 1 time for the week. Now we're seeing them more often. So they are coming out more in their numbers. So since September to now, our attendance has improved.
they can come to school and get lunch or breakfast in the morning. Sometimes I do not have any breakfast and come get something to eat. And at lunchtime they get something, and it saved me a lot. So I can use the money to do something else. So now I think a lot of children is coming in most of the time than when they do not have anything. Most of them normally sit down maybe on the roadside or the home, not doing anything. So the program is helping a lot in the community because you don't see a lot of children home again. Most of them are at school and stuff like that.
And so this is the last one I want to talk about, and this is one of the most important components of community development or sustained development, that it's community-led and owned. You cannot create sustained change at the community level if the community don't drive it and if they don't own it. They're the ones that are in the communities along with the police after everybody's left, even though I would like us as a society to get away from this idea that we can leave communities behind. We should never leave communities behind. We should always make sure that they have basic services and basic infrastructure and that we do the best that we can for them. But this one, I want to talk a little bit. In East Downtown Kingston, we've been able to directly consult over 800 residents already in the community planning process. We've been able to really work with the NGOs and the community-based organizations, many of whom had started to go to the Gold Street Police Youth Club, who came out and did their sports day, where they had a competition with 16 teams for a side. We've had with the JCF and SDC, along with the Community Development Committee in Rose Gardens, had a sports day in the Kingston Technical High School to make sure, and this was the first time in years a sporting activity has happened in Rose Gardens. We look at what are the assets in the community, so, you know, what can we utilize? Kingston Technical is there, we're going to utilize the school. We're not trying to recreate everything, but what can we support and strengthen within the community? And so this is an important indicator. STAR is aiming to make sure that in each community we consult at least 30% of the population. In the first 7 months in East Downtown, we've already done 15%. So we may have to increase that target because we got there a little too quickly. And we're always pushing and challenging ourselves. The truth is the more community members that are involved in the process, and the more that really driving the process, is the greater the likelihood of creating sustained change. And so I just invite individuals to get an understanding of really what we're talking about when we talk about developing communities. It's not a charity, and I keep trying to sort of differentiate with people what is charity. Charity is something that is required on an ongoing basis, that if you were to stop it, the quality of what people are receiving would drop significantly. STAR is development. We're aiming to make sure that at the end of 5 years, if and when STAR leave, or others take over, or there's a structure that now exists, that there's really very little change in what is happening in the community at that point. Did I miss anything, Keith? Okay. All right, I'm going to hand back to Ambassador. Thank you so much, everyone.
Well, I think that a lot of reasons that we can feel that we should join this program and support it, right? Everybody forward. I hope that at the end of this conversation, everybody can yell, everybody forward, right? I love that the slogan, and I count on the support of all the businessmen here to find a way and do everything in their power to be involved in the project STAR. So I would like to recognize the presence also of my dear ambassador of Panama, His Excellency Lasper Douglas. Thank you for being here. Well, we have a lot of ambassadors, and I am counting on my colleagues to also be involved, because I know that Mexico, Panama, United States, India, Trinidad and Tobago, well, we choose very well because they have a very strong business community linked with Jamaica. So I have no doubt that you will do everything also in your power to connect and link those business and company to support this project. Now, I would like to ask my good friend Julia Muir, Chairman of the Jamaica Stock Exchange and co-sponsor and public funding lead advisor of Project STAR, so he can explain a little bit about the IPO. Right? Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. Ambassador Martinez, Angie, thank you so much for bringing everybody together this evening, and we need exactly this. This everybody forward thing is real. The fact is, without all hands becoming involved, we're not going to get there. So, in the early stages of developing this project and discussing how is it that we're going to actually be able to fund this extremely ambitious project, my discussions with Keith would have brought us to the Jamaica Social Stock Exchange. This is a platform built at the stock exchange which creates a mechanism for projects that are non-for-profit to be funded. However, none had ever been done in the way that we envisaged. And we actually have no evidence that it's been done this way anywhere in the world. But we know that through our co-brokers, our broker-dealer community in Jamaica, and through our investor community in Jamaica, we have democratized investing in stocks. We've created efficient mechanisms for investing in stocks that have been effective and worked for the divestment of government assets, for Weekton, for Trans Jamaica. We brought in tens of thousands of investors. A number of them never invested in stocks before we brought them in to participate. The Jamaica Stock Exchange is the oldest stock exchange in the region. And we brought all of the resources of the Jamaica Stock Exchange to bear on this. We took the Jamaica Central Securities Depository, which is the backbone of the stock exchange, which is how securities are held, how you get all your reports on the public companies, all the investment, and we put it behind the social stock exchange as its infrastructure. We also have a universe of investors that have access to our broker-dealer community. So over 500,000 investors. It's a lot. And our broker-dealer community are the ones who maintain these relationships. What we did was created for them the exact same experience they would have for any normal IPO. So if you can go online and participate in an IPO through your broker-dealer, you can do so for Project STAR. Your social stock is going to show up inside of your JCSD account, which is the same account that holds all of your investments. But it's going to have a special line. It's going to say social stock, right? And it has to have that special line because this is the line that you're not going to look for a financial dividend on. You're going to look for a return that's going to come to you from the social impact that's created. We really are happy with the work that Marley Street Force and the team at the JC would have done to ensure that we have this backbone. We're also extremely pleased with the fact that the co-broker community has come on board in full strength. We have Sagicor here represented. We have NCB, Gap Markets. We have Victoria Mutual, Jamaica National, Barita, JMMB, the credit unions. We have so many others that have all come on board and said, we're going to take a hard look at what it is that you say that you intend to do. We want to see it in a prospectus in a formal way, and if we can believe in it, we'll tell our clients about it. They looked on it, they believed in it, they signed on as co-brokers, and with that, they are now introducing their clients to this opportunity to invest in social change in Jamaica. I want to understand, that's a big thing. Having them willing to spend their time to introduce their clients to this is not a normal thing. Never before have those who raise money and know how to go and do that for investment opportunities partnered with those who use money for social change. It hasn't happened, but it appears a very obvious, natural fit. And that's the fit that we are pioneering here now, and we're doing it for Project Star. It's ambitious, but if we're not ambitious, we're not going to get anything done. And that's where we're at right now. So, there are numbers thrown out there. 100 million has been the target. 100 million is what we tell you. But it's a multi-year target, it's a 5-year program. And honestly, we're not trying to do the same work every year. We want to do just like on any IPO, exceed the target, have an oversubscription, have this very big challenge. What do you do with all this excess money? You give it back, you allocate it, and give everybody, 10 cents on the dollar of an investment. Well, that's not what we're going to do. What it does is it gives us the ability to fund Project Star's ability to do more things. Now, when Project Star takes money, it's not dollar for dollar. Their dollar, as you heard Keith talk about, working with NGOs, working with the government, their dollar helps to release significantly more money. From a financial perspective, we think that this has leverage. This is specifically what the project is about, and then it measures the outcome of it. We're excited about the change that Project Star can make, not just to the people it impacts. The people it impacts is great. We know that we give them a better perspective in life and greater level of hope. But we think the investors are going to get as much out of this as the people that are going to be impacted. We think they're probably the largest stakeholder group. Because in Jamaica, we keep thinking that tomorrow can't change. We find every reason under the sun as to why something may not work. And one of the things that we know is that if you see your investment providing a return for you in measurable performance indicators, you'll believe in tomorrow. You'll believe that you can be a part of change and that your money is a conduit to a better Jamaica. And as a part of your portfolio, and I know the investment side gets tricky because there's no return coming to you, but as a part of your portfolio of investments, you're investing for better tomorrow for yourself, for your kids, or whosoever it is that you have in mind as your loved ones, of course including love of self, right? You're investing in a better tomorrow. Ultimately, money alone won't give you that. The environment within which you will live and spend that money, where your children will grow up, where they will go to school, the sorts of things that we talk about now as part of the course, like crime, these are the things that impact the quality of your investment. It directly impacts the quality of your life. Our deep-voiced men love your participation, but your baritone, hard to manage. So, you can talk like ladies if you want. So, we want everybody in Jamaica to understand and accept that they are part of the change. Keith spoke about it earlier, about fiscal stability. The broker-dealer community has come on board not because we call them and say, oh, come on board. They've come on board because they were a part of the change. They are part of the fiscal transformation in this country. It was their sacrifice of capital in our debt exchanges that helped to put the fiscal position of Jamaica on a sustainable footing. We have seen that within a short space of time, with coordinated effort, no party lines, one Jamaica as the focus, that we can actually change this country. We've done it. We don't have no mystery about that. We know we've done it. We're the star of the world of the IMF and World Bank meetings, standing room only when our guys go to talk. Why? Because Jamaica can act in a coordinated way without religious, political, ethnic lines for one Jamaica and can create meaningful change. We've done it for the economy. Let's do it now for human capital, which is the most important resource that we have. So I invite you all to participate in Project Star, to invest in Project Star. You can do it in any number of ways. You can buy social stock through any of the broker-dealer relationships you have. You can make a direct contribution to the account of Project Star. You can contribute over the Jamaica Social Stock Exchange site. American Friends of Jamaica are also providing a conduit for for those of you who are utilizing international mechanisms to contribute. What we've done is ensure that we've made it easy so that there's no barrier. We've also democratized it, and I know this will be the challenge that you have, but we've made it $500 as the minimum contribution, which means 500 shares. We've made sure that everybody can participate, because as I told you, we want everybody to know that they can be a part of change, because ultimately, if you see change in a community that we are targeting as being the most violent of communities in Jamaica, that's the basis of it, right? You choose the ones that are causing as much social dislocation as you can find, because if you can change it there, honestly, the other 90, we're targeting 10 initially, but of course there are about 20 on the list, and the government side has told us there are 100 communities that need this sort of intervention. Well, the other 90 certainly can also be targeted, but we're targeting the most difficult. If it can work there, it can work across the entire country. We want every investor to know that this is the sort of transformation that can occur. So, thank you everybody for your time, and thank you everybody for your participation.
Thank you, Julian. Well, I want to recognize the presence of Kamisha Turner, Executive Director of the Jamaica Manufacturers and Sports Association. Yes, I'm sure that she will do everything in her power to get involved the more than 400 companies that are part of this important association. But here we have a lot of important companies represented today. Dominican companies as Fersam, here present, yes. We have Inca Caterpillar, Mr. Jose Sasso, here represented. Yes, we have Terrestra. Hey, yes, there. We have ECGA, where is Gustavo? Here, yes, ECGA. Gen MMB, represented by several people here, but the president of the Jamaica Chamber of Commerce, and Kit Duncan, of course, is here today. Jamaica Producers, Charlie and Lisa, thank you for support. And of course, there is other many Dominican companies that are not here, but I know that we will reach out to them, like Domicen, Gergan Metaldom, Cesar Iglesia, Hyundai, and among others. And I'm sure that also the president of Jamaica Chamber of Commerce will make sure that the Dominican company investment in Jamaica and the Jamaican company investing in Dominican Republic get involved in the Project Start and make their donation. We have some the envelope here ready. As I said, yes, Kinox, yes, en Cola Real, Industria San Miguel, yes, thank you, Daniel. So there is a lot of people here involved, so I have no doubt that this project can be successful. And on behalf of Jamaica, we have Sandals Foundation. Thank you for being here. And let's do an applause to everybody. I know that we are hungry, we are thirsty, but let's make this right. We have Pepsi, Luz, thank you for being here. We have Rest Right, Henneken. Yes, one, please. You? Don't be shy. We have Mario Courier. We have Roche Industries over there. We have NCB Foundation. We have Lasco. Yes. Here we have Total Energies, my brother. Chris. We have Unicorn Group. Where is, yes. We have Evan Baquet over there. Carl, Signos, Grace Kennedy, among others. Is there anyone that wasn't mentioned here? Any other companies that I haven't mentioned? Well, just in case. And of course, we have the diplomatic partners as mentioned at the beginning, the U.S. Embassy, Mexico, India, Panama, Trinidad and Tobago. I know that Colombia is running from another commitment that she has a UN and will be here also. Agencies as PSOJ, GME, Jamaica Chamber of Commerce, Jamaica Special Economic Zone Authority, JAMPRO, Trust, among others. The members of the media, of course, because we need to promote this and more people know this.
Celebration Brands, one.
What?
Celebration Brands.
Come, Daniel, come, please.
Celebration brands.
Oh, Celebration Brands. Yes, thank you for being here. Our today, PBCJ, Jamaican Information Service, thank you for support this initiative. We have enough partners to make this social change a reality. So now, I feel honored to call to the podium the Honorable Dr. Horace Chang, Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of National Security, for the closing remarks.
Thank you, Ambassador Martinez, all the distinguished members of the diplomatic corps, members of the business community present. I know it's coming, a late time, one is my late time, but I know my good friend Keith is one of the few people in Jamaica who can keep such a distinguished audience and hold them together for whatever time he wishes. I've had some pretty interesting times with Keith, and I think we are doing a very outstanding job in this project, and I want to commend the ambassador for hosting this event, because STAR is a very important activity which I give my full support to. And in supporting it, I know numbers have been called around the big press saying thing on STAR, saying he says he's $500 is the minimum share to back $100. But I recall that youngster growing, there was a little story that's telling Jamaicans about the Big Boy story. You know about the Big Boy story? A child is old enough to remember. And they all had the argument that zero means nothing. So whenever you take Big Boy about it, you say add a zero, you add a zero there. So maybe at this point, before you start contributing, just add a couple zeros. The key's $500 commitment. But no, I'm very pleased to be here tonight to support the outreach by Keith and Project Star and his team. And I will take 2 minutes, must be a time, without a risk at this hour. A risk for me as the last speaker, a politician, and I risk for having listened to a lot of talk all evening. It was a very useful activity we are getting into. I recall that I was among the first people to criticize the tradition of social intervention that they established in Jamaica. Very strongly, I lost some friends for it. And I've also had some people involved in that kind of social outreach. But the reality and the facts were quite stark. The government of Jamaica in the 10-year period 2007 to 2018 spent $387 billion on social intervention programs per youth. $387 billion. And that did not include $898 billion spent on education, nor did it include the money in social security services for the elderly and others. So that total, in terms of reaching out to Jamaican youth, was like, well, I said nearly 1.2, well, over $1,000 billion. You're getting in Jamaican terms, $898 million in education, billion dollars. So money has been spent, and stories of the sort we heard from Sacre have been told, but the fact is that the number of communities identified as excessively challenged because of the social conditions and the level of violence in society kept increasing. There was always talk of doing this about police that. But the reality is more social money, but social intervention money was being spent. And there was a significant amount of money spent by non-governmental organizations, by partners, which are not government Jamaica money. I mentioned $387 billion was taxpayers' money. Your money that you spent in another direction, went to government. There was huge projects. There was like the City Security Justice Program had $75 million USD spent over another 5-year period, and a number of others like that. And when I made the point that they were not achieving the outcome, I know I took some lickings for it, but Capri came with a study and demonstrated clearly we're not achieving the objectives. Having said that, we decided we'd have to take a turn in how we invest in this. And among that, we had a discussion among the commissioner and myself, and we had invited a number of business people to have a discussion. Keith is among them, and Keith came up with the idea of Project Star. And I think it's just, why do I think it will work? I'll say it to you in 2 minutes to encourage you to support it. Because, as I said, money has been spent by many government agencies, programs run by international funding, and the private sector locally. Jamaica is a very service-oriented essay, a lot of charity in Jamaican spirit. Everybody likes to go and hand out something to some of the poor, take a picture of it and put it on the front page. There are a lot of foundations, they publish a nice book at the end of the year and see that you did this here, you did that there, and the fact is there's no sustainability. If I give you one more bad example before I close the card, I represent one of those tough constituencies. There's a Digicel spent how many $1 million, I don't know if anybody from this year, building an infant school in the middle of Bottom Pen, one of the most depressed here in the country. I told them it was foolishness. Of course, nobody would take me serious. I didn't go to the opening. I refused to do so. I thought there was nothing Digicel. It was the wrong thing to do. But of course, within a couple of years, they wanted me to pay the staff because a poor community cannot pay for basic school on for themselves. So you go fix it on Labor Day and leave it. It goes bad. It wasn't long before the pastor whose church the land was on soon took the roof to make another church somewhere else. And the people in the community borrowed the windows here, the toilet here, and fix their homes. I don't have not even with the salary increase, I can afford to pay teachers recurrent salary for a whole school of 50 students. And that was what was being required of me. And that was a lot of charitable activity. It was a nice activity on the day in question, but there's no sustainability. What I detected what Project Star is trying to do is to change that format. How's it going? The government itself is changing its own program in social investment. We created a strong monitoring evaluation unit, which Keith is very much in tune with. We have discussed it. We changed our governance structure in government, but that's what we're going to talk about tonight. Keith, on the other hand, is setting up Project Star, set about to work in a collaborative approach, because the only way you can generate sustainability is to ensure that institutions that you are working with in these difficult communities, 105 communities that I identified since back about 2008 when then Prime Minister Golding asked to look at community renewal program. And those 100 communities remain the same. The violence is increasing on an exponential rate. We have had to introduce some strong policing to at least hold it level, a little bit of decline. But to get it to go down and stay down, we have to move beyond that. And part of that is just to change the character of the community, do the institutional changes that are required to give people a sense of hope and restore their dignity, their self-respect, and opportunity to make themselves a better person in terms of their productive capacity. So government can do it, fix the roads, we can fix the zinc fence, we can fix some of the housing, but we have to ensure that they get a decent education, they can get a decent job, you know, and that kind of, they get the counseling that requires them to think again about themselves and their own self-respect and identity. And that's how Project Star came in. While the government is doing that, Project Star coming in while seeking the identity, because you're investing money in them and you need to invest in them, and therefore you need to know what Project Star is doing. But a lot of what they're doing, they're working with agencies that will change. Hard, long established, powerful organization, well funded, but has been wandering away from its purpose, which was to provide a second opportunity in a productive way to young people in these deep inner city communities. We have social security mechanism. Many of the poor in need of it cannot reach it and don't get it. And some of them, when you train them, critical, they don't get jobs either, because of course the training is inadequate, and the people who do the training don't have the confidence of the private sector, because many times because the training is adequate, we employ them, they end up damaging your company, literally, because a person who leaves school for 4 years on the corner, they get up at 11 o'clock in the morning, they get up on their roller thing and them thing, and then they go back, they move around the community for a little bit, they kick some football with somebody, they might get involved in a gang, go to another expedition somewhere, some music being played, drink some bum and white rum, or smoke some spliff, come back home, sleep for 2 hours, and maybe get up and join again from 2 to 3 o'clock and do some damage on the road and go back again and sleep. That's the pattern of maybe a young male in the community. Take him out, train him for 6 weeks, tell him to learn to read and write and run a saw properly and a hacksaw properly and metal work or some capturing, and then send him to work somebody, and he doesn't change. He uses the opportunity to maybe do some more damage, or he become more literate and start scamming and make more money than he would make on the job. That's just part of the pattern and damage to the government programs as they were run then, and the funded programs they run then. And I said the private sector comes in, paint up the primary school, it's not even build a new one, and you try to get the teachers to give some program, and they say, yes, they're going to give them breakfast once a week, but they have 4 more days in the week. So they get breakfast once a week. You try to teach them to read and write, but it's just, again, all over the place. And some who will learn to read and write in the short term, they're quite smart, they end up scamming because there's no hope, or they just, nothing happens. And the school itself falls apart after Labor Day, because that's when Jamaica do a lot of charitable work in difficult communities. It's great to go in the community. And I'm not, the government supports it. This is one individual I don't really work on Labor Day, so I'm not telling you, right? I work otherwise. But they go, they paint up a building, and it's left, and next year come back to paint it again. That's the lack of sustainability programs. What I can say without going to further illustration is that what I see come out of STAR is a change. That you can monitor, evaluate the work as you go on, work to see real meaningful change. So STAR comes in, they don't do a breakfast program today and take a picture and leave. We look at how we can integrate the code program and you do breakfast program for a school. And then if the government program, you get everybody on part so they get enough money, it continues. But they seek to work with us to ensure that the school and the students who need it are identified. When they're trained, the most powerful impact of this program is the private sector individuals involved. We look at the program by heart, it's running well, we get the jailers involved, which add certain character development, so they can commend the workers to a company. They take them on, you get a person who has a different approach, who is easily settled into an 8-to-4 job and begin to look ahead at growing their business rather than just their own personality, and just come to work and so, can't bother with this thing, go back home. So it has the seeds, in my opinion, the real seeds of growth to really be transformative, not only for the community, but for the whole institutional framework that we seek to do to change the character of these communities, which we describe as challenged communities. To all Jamaican citizens, where a lot of our chance emerge. It gives Commissioner a headache every day. We have to try and stop the bloodletting, but stopping it today is to stop it recurring tomorrow is the challenge, and that's where STAR comes in. The government has reached out. We have discussed with Keith all the institutional support we can do. We're working about critically the institutional partnership, whether it is hard to extend training, the Social Security to ensure that it reaches the right people, and then to proceed to work, get professional counseling for people involved, the young men and young women. And it's quite it's interesting, intriguing, but it's also very exciting to see the transformation. I'm sure he can take him to look at some of these companies. So this evening I can urge you, I said, like big boy said, add a couple North Street, you don't read me a heck of that. All the big names that you're called here. Charlie, you know what I mean? Sign numbers. Do what you can. STAR is an excellent project. It's moving in a new direction, but critically, I said, we can monitor and evaluate. And they're not seeking to do everything all over Jamaica. They have selected a number of communities. Similar to Gold Gate. All the budgets are restricted. We are expanding. We are now I think we're in 3 communities now, 4. And we have 7 zones of special operation. We're expanding to another 7. So if we keep adding till we get to the 100 communities, we begin to have the impact we want. And I call the numbers being that I said, money has been invested in social intervention. Not a big but significant money. And starting in this particular project is to change that. That we look at the country where we have almost full unemployment, but there are 700,000 almost unemployable. That's where my problem begins. That's where myself and the commissioner sit up at nights checking the numbers of fatalities and what is happening out there. And that's where we worry when some of you in business, you look at the reports, and even though as I say, gangs are killing gangsters, but when you see Jamaica, the highest rate of homicide in the world, you begin to wonder, what's tomorrow be like when this thing pull over? The future of my business in this country, is it as bright as we say and it looks? That's what raised the issue, and we have to control that, but we're going to get that on a downward and keep it down only when we make the real change in these communities. And I said, this move led by Mr. Duncan from JMB, and I said I call him Keith, my good friend, we talk at late nights as well, about issues of our kind, besides negotiating for police wages. But the initiative, I think, has the seeds, the kernel of a change that working collaboratively, where It's the only route out. When the government of the day accepts our own limitations, we can work with the business community in a way that is transparent, has the integrity of investment, and we can move forward on it. And I think when you put your money with STAR, you know it's going to do what it said should be do. Not only in terms of integrity, but in terms of how they organize. He's not only out there working, he's using the resources. He changed the school. It's the same teacher in the school. It's the same people in training and hard, but they have a different orientation. And we'll be able to get them. The police officers will work with them. Getting in the community, so you'll find the people who the social workers don't find. And at the end of the day, if you understand, the average social worker is something afraid to go into a community. Start working with the private sector, the police cooperative, you begin to go into areas where you know you used to go. So you begin to find the real people at the bottom, not just the poor, but the ones who have dropped through even the poverty net, and you have to pull them out, and we make them. And that's what a program like this has in it. So again, let me commend it to you. Have started on a good note, and I said we work together sometime. Not as close to the light because we just both have busy otherwise, but this concept of the project is working very well. So again, let me thank Ambassador for hosting this event and thank all of you for coming. And I know that he will pull it out of you, but it is being well done. And we can, in fact, by the process, evaluate and give. It will give you a good report and the appropriate reports, just like you give on a stock market or a company. The monitoring and evaluation committee secretariat of we have set up a government agency does that objectively and can tell you what's happening in the community, and you will know that we need to change, but we can keep doing something that will make a difference. Again, to all of you attending, thank you for coming out to show your interest. I look forward to keep making start and back.
Thank you to the Honorable Dr. Horace Chang, Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of National Security of Jamaica. Well, we are coming to the end. I know that we normally do serious events in the morning or at lunchtime here at the residence and at the embassy. But normally when I invite people to the residence, you expect to have like a big party. I know that my neighbors hate me at least a little bit. But I try to make them happy sometime and invite them, to join us. So, but this time I gather you here to talk about serious things. I think that it's important to get you involved in meaningful initiatives that the project starts. So I hope that you understand me. And now is the time to, after we closure, to go to a well-deserved Dominican food. Yes. But before we close, I would like to share my dream. I have a dream. I have a dream that to have a better and a prosperous Dominican Republic. And I also have a dream to see a more prosperous and better Jamaica. I count on you to make this dream a reality. Please support the Project Star. I know that Safi wants to explain, right? Yeah. How to do it with the card. Can you explain, please, before we closure?
Thank you, Ambassador. So I also just wanted to say a couple of things about our donors. So we have some really strong donors. We also have PwC that have come on as our donor. They're also coming on as our auditor, and they're going to be auditing us every single year for the next 4 years. This feeds into our high levels of accountability. Our oversight board is co-chaired by Keith Duncan and Major Anderson. Major General Anderson. Has really strong private sector and public sector members on it. We also have a management monitoring and reporting committee, which is co-chaired by Taran Handa, managing partner of KPMG, and Ian Nita of Yellow, and a subcommittee, which is legal and contracts, which is chaired by Peter Goldson, who's the managing partner of Miles Fletcher and Gordon. So I just want to say that in terms of understanding very, very high levels of accountability that we adhere to here at Project STAR. I specifically just also want to thank, sorry, Ambassador, I just really want to thank our donors. We have Sanos Foundation, JMMB, the group really, because it's the whole family that's very involved. It's not just JMMB or the foundation, it's the whole JMMB group. Sagicor is also coming as a major donor. Carreras, they're not leaving us too far, I mean. Some signature donors, Grace Kennedy, NCB Foundation, Rainforest, Scotia Foundation. Also want to thank American Friends of Jamaica, Musson, CB Facey, Barnett Limited, Supreme Ventures, the Spanish Jamaica Foundation are also a donor, and Burger King, Digicel Foundation, KFC, and Richard and Diana Stewart Foundation. So those are our donors thus far. We have here some pledge cards. I know that Jenna's giving them out. So you can either do the QR code and just go straight and donate with your credit card, or you can do a pledge on this card and give to myself, Jenna, or Kalando, hands in the air, or you can give to Keith, right? And also, if you have any questions afterwards, you can talk to any of the four of us, but you can also talk to Julian, Imega, I don't know if I see Paris, they know the project in and out. And if you wanted to set up a meeting, if you want us to come and talk to you, to speak to your team, to present to your team, we're also available. So just reach out to us. We look forward to taking the next steps on Project STAR with all of you. Thanks. Oh, sorry. Oh, sorry. We have so far committed 320 million Jamaican over a 5-year period. Year 1 was 137 million. For year 2 already we have 70 million. And then the balance is over years 3, 4, and 5. So we do welcome you on as a single-year donor or a multi-year donor. You can come on as a single-year donor, see how we do, and then decide whether you want to come as a multi-year. So we just invite you to be part of the solution, part of the change in driving Jamaica forward.
Perfect. Thank you, Sophie.
Right.
Approximately.
So the cost to deliver Project STAR can range from between about 350 million to 500 million, depending on the number of communities. In order to be able to get to 10 communities, we need to be able to get an annual budget of closer to 500 million. That's Jamaican. When you break that down into US, it's really not a lot of money to be impacting tens of thousands of lives in a sustainable way. Am I done?
Thank you. I know that I missed a lot of people here, but I'm seeing Alvaro, Milla Water, here on our audience. So thank you for support, and all the others that I missed to mention and recognize. And to closure this, to make sure that you really want to get involved and support Project STAR, I would like to you join me at the count of 3 to say the slogan of the project. Everybody forward. Oh, you know better than me. So, to the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Everybody forward. Very good. A round of applause to you all. Thank you for supporting this initiative. And thank you for being at the residence of the Dominican Republic. It's my pleasure, as always, to welcome you. And please, this is the time to refresh yourself, to eat, and to mingle between you. Thank you.